English shorthand dictation number 237. Dictation speed 160 words per minute. Ready? Start. Mr. Deputy Chairman, Sir, I am grateful to the honorable members and especially the leader of the opposition for initiating this discussion on the finance bill. The leader of the opposition has sent me a note saying that he may not be present to listen to my reply because of other commitments, and I quite appreciate that. He said that there must be a reform of the mindset. He was referring to the Ministry of Finance, but I take it as a comment on the whole system of governance. I would support him in the argument that mindsets have to change. We no longer live in a world where we can say that we are isolated from what is happening in the rest of the world. The theory of decoupling India's economy from the rest of the world's economy is a farcical theory. On an earlier occasion, I have explained that we are dependent on imports for a number of commodities like crude oil, fertilizers, raw materials, minerals, metals, etc. We have to pay for those imports, and we can pay for those imports only if we export. So, imports are a necessity, exports are an imperative, and a country which has to increasingly trade with the rest of the world cannot remain unaffected from what is happening in the rest of the world. We live in a world where a number of forces are at play. This year has seen a number of crises hitting many countries of the world at the same time. There is a food crisis, there is a fuel crisis, there is a fiscal crisis in some countries, and there is a financial crisis which seems to have affected a large number of financial institutions. While some of this was anticipated, many countries did not anticipate this very sharp rise in prices of commodities. But if you read the budget speech, you will realize that we had anticipated some of these pressures and taken preemptive action. We cut customs duties, we cut excise duties, we gave relief to income tax assessees, and we promised to take further fiscal and monetary measures if it becomes necessary. So, it may not be correct to say that we did not anticipate this turn of events. It is therefore important that our mindsets change so that we can bring to the governance of the economy a set of policies and principles that are relevant to the modern world. These principles can only be based on an open polity and an open economy. We are proud of our open polity. We should be proud that our economy is also opening up. This opening up of the economy was started in 1991, and it has brought India to a stage where we can legitimately claim that we will be the fourth largest economy in the world in a few years, and that the prosperity of all Indians will rise as we continue to move up the economic ladder. Even today, we are regarded by the rest of the world as an important economy, a growing economy, a dynamic economy, which is the second fastest growing economy in the world. When you say the second fastest growing economy, you are conceding the first place to another country, but our aim must be to become the fastest growing economy. At the same time, we recognize that growth is not an end. Growth is merely a starting point. Growth is an imperative. But the ultimate goal is inclusive growth, where we can share the benefits of this growth with all the people of India. I believe that this government in the last 4 years and in this budget and this finance bill has taken a number of measures to make growth inclusive, and I shall briefly refer to them after I deal with the specific issues regarding the finance bill. I am conscious that this is the last stage of the exercise of passing the budget. I am grateful to honorable members who have pointed out a number of aspects of the finance bill, and I shall deal with them. Sir, as far as Sikkim is concerned, there is a debate that has been going on since 1990. It is a happy conclusion that we have reached an agreement with the government of Sikkim. They have a Sikkim Subjects Register. Anyone who is in the Sikkim Subjects Register alone is entitled to buy property. The same register will be operated, and those who find their names in this register will be exempt from income tax. All others would have to pay income tax. We have brought this amendment to reflect the agreement. We have taken care to see that we are not reopening any assessments for any past years. We are making it prospective. I do not think we should try to unravel that agreement. It has taken 18 years to reach the agreement. In any event, I do not expect to collect very large revenues from even the non-subjects of Sikkim. I think we should let the matter rest there. The leader of the opposition asked me why we are limiting the income tax benefit to 5 years. My answer is that we are giving income tax benefit for 5 years. They never had any benefit. We are giving income tax benefit for 5 years to hospitals that are located in 2-tier and 3-tier cities. I think the hospital industry is happy that they will get a 5-year income tax exemption. He also raised some concerns about fertilizer famine coupled with fiscal improvements. How can the NDA government claim to be fiscally prudent compared to the UPA government? The NDA government inherited a fiscal deficit of 5% and it increased to 6%, and they closed their innings with the fiscal deficit of 5%. So, after 6 years of NDA rule, the fiscal deficit remained where it was. We brought down the fiscal deficit to 3% in the year that is ended. Likewise, the NDA government inherited revenue deficit of 3% and it worsened to 4%, and when they closed their innings, it was still 3.5%. You inherited 3%, you closed your innings with 3.5% and claim to be fiscally prudent. We have brought down the revenue deficit from 3.5% to 1.5% in the year that is ended. I think in terms of fiscal prudence, this government is the most fiscally prudent government in India's history. For the first time, we have set for ourselves fiscal targets and we will meet those fiscal targets by the end of next year. The other phrase that was used was fertilizer famine. Let me assure everyone in this house that there is no fertilizer famine and there will be no fertilizer famine. We have enough stock of urea. We produce fertilizers. We import fertilizers. This government has given agriculture the highest priority. This budget was described by commentators as the green budget. We will do nothing to hurt the farmers. We will do everything on our part to help the farmers. If that means importing more fertilizers at higher prices, if that means encouraging Indian factories to produce more fertilizers, and if that means bearing a higher fertilizer subsidy, every one of that will be done and fertilizer will be made available to our farmers. Sir, another question is related to the public distribution system. We have received the report of the Standing Committee on Food, Consumer Affairs and Public Distribution. The committee has mentioned in its report that the diversion of food grains meant for the poorest of the poor is the biggest menace in the functioning of the public distribution system. The report also gives numbers of each state. It will be embarrassing to many honorable members because each one of them represents a state. It will be embarrassing if I read out the extent of diversion in each state. So I will not read it out. The point is, it is a shared responsibility. The responsibility of the central government is to procure the food grains from farmers and allocate it to the states. The responsibility of the state governments is to ensure that there is no leakage, no diversion, no theft, and the food grains reach the beneficiaries. This year, there has been a dramatic turnaround in the food situation in the last 3 weeks. As on day before yesterday, we have procured 134 lakh tons of wheat as against 76 lakh tons last year on the same date. We have already procured 229 lakh tons of rice as against 209 lakh tons last year on the same date. We are very confident that we will exceed the procurement target of 150 lakh tons of wheat, and we will also build a buffer stock and a strategic reserve. We have enough food grains. I want the people of this country to know that there are enough food grains in the country as a whole. There is no doubt on that score at all. As far as the supply to the public distribution system is concerned, there are complaints here and there from the states. These complaints will be addressed as our stocks improve. We are not discriminating against one state or another. Let me assure all the states that enough food grains will be given.